This is Fictional Mindbender, and let's get straight into it. The first episode of Season 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds drops a Vulcan cadet that is being trained by Uhura, who is, well, very, very Vulcan. Hyperlogical, blunt, socially abrasive. And at the end of the episode, she even drops a backhanded comment about Spock being half human and therefore being able to handle serving on a Federation ship. And for many fans, this was just racist writing. Quote unquote, too stereotypical. Rude, blunt, another Vulcan insulting Spock for being half human. Seriously? Many of them were saying that Vulcans should not be written this way anymore. Or for that matter, any race in Star Trek should be written that way anymore. Because it sounds too much how we, in the real world, tend to turn people into monoliths of a certain look, behavior, stereotype. Here's the contradiction. Those same fans complaining about stereotypes are themselves reacting from a cultural stereotype. The idea that portraying a group with shared traits is automatically racist. That's not how Trek works. That's not how culture works. That's not how Vulcans work. Everyone is an individual, absolutely. But individuals are raised inside cultures that teach shared values, norms, and expectations. This is generally how humans have gotten along for most of our existence. Even the fans complaining about stereotypical Vulcans are doing this. Where do you think they got that value system from in the first place? The one that says such portrayals are racist. It came from their culture. It came from a culture that, in many ways, thankfully, in 2026, is more aware and sensitive about the nuances of human existence. Star Trek has always shown that alien cultures do have dominant traits. Vulcans in their logic, Klingons in their honor and violence, Ferengi in their capitalism, and so on. And Trek also shows that nuance as well. Yes, all Ferengi are capitalists, but some are more ruthless than others. Yes, Klingons are violent, but not all are triggered by the same things or taken to the same degree. Yes, Vulcans value logic, but they express that differently. Look at Strange New World Season 3 when 4 crew members were turned into Vulcans. They acted similarly, yes, stereotypically even, if you want. You can even argue that they might as well have been clones, because they were suddenly operating inside a culture with very, very strong norms. But then the show started giving us subtle nuances and differences of how each of their personalities processed that change. Trek has never portrayed alien cultures as monoliths contrary to popular belief. It portrays them as cultures with nuances and variations in those expectations. Exceptions, if you will. So then why are many Star Trek fans getting so upset over these portrayals as being racist? I think it's because they're afraid. Not of Vulcans per se, but of what these portrayals might mean in the real world. They worry that a stereotypical Vulcan is going to reinforce real-world harmful stereotypes. A logical race implies superiority. A violent race implies savagery. A greedy race implies caricature. And many fans fear this in terms of modern issues with trans identity, racism, and so on. And in many cases, these fears are legitimate. The show hit a nerve. But the thing is that while feelings are legitimate, they are also not the entire truth, not the whole truth. Like the Martians in the Star Trek Strange New World episode, some fans are seeing only 2 options. This portrayal is safe, or this portrayal is dangerous. And anything that feels dangerous becomes racist. And like the Martians, they don't ask anything more than that. They have too many scars in some cases, just like the Martians did in their conflict with the Doldrum. But Trek has always asked us to look deeper than just surface level meaning and interpretations. The second issue I took with this is the conflict about Spock's heritage being racist. Now, fans say that Vulcans calling him out as being half human is racist, and that the original series was somewhat racist for continuing to call him quote-unquote green-blooded. They say Strange New Worlds is repeating those same harmful tropes and stereotypes that I mentioned earlier. Here's the truth. Spock gave back as good as he got.
Aye, sir. Tractor beam's on.
Captain, I recommend you abandon the attempt. Do not risk the ship further on my behalf.
Shut up, Spock. We're rescuing you.
Why, thank you, Captain McCoy.
Okay. What made the character so brilliant was that half the time you couldn't tell if he was just being brutally logical or if he was just being a snide dick. And I've already done a full video on this as well. The Vulcans' issue with Spock has never been about racism, because racism requires a bias that is based on biological traits that cannot be helped. Vulcans don't care that Spock is half human per se. They care that he's emotional, and that emotional content is being paired with a logical content that they believe and have struggled with for centuries to keep separate. To them, emotion plus logic is an unstable equation. It makes no fucking sense. It's not inferior, it's illogical. Star Trek Enterprise actually explains this contrast perfectly.
We don't know what to do about humans. Of all the species we've made contact with, yours is the only one we can't define. You have the arrogance of Andorians, the stubborn pride of Tellarites. One moment you're as driven by your emotions as Klingons, and the next you confound us by suddenly embracing logic.
I'm sure those qualities are found in every species.
Not in such confusing abundance.
Ambassador, are Vulcans afraid of humans? Why?
Because there is one species you remind us of.
Vulcans.
We had our wars, Admiral, just as humans did. Our planet was devastated, our civilization nearly destroyed. Logic saved us. But it took almost 1,500 years for us to rebuild our world and travel to the stars. You humans did the same in less than a century.
Vulcans struggle with humans because humans are emotionally volatile, unpredictable, and inconsistent. Vulcans are an extreme race. They suppress everything. Humans express everything. It's oil and water. And Spock is literally the walking embodiment of that idea. He is the equation that they cannot solve, that they cannot make sense. He embodies all the issues that Vulcans have with humans, though they get along with them, but also make them feel uncomfortable. And here's the irony to this character. That's why he's also the most rebellious character in the entire franchise. Spock is logical, emotional, cold, passionate, compassionate, violent, mechanical, artistic. He's all of it. And for a culture that is dedicated to one lane, that's kind of terrifying. So, no, Vulcans aren't racist, and the writing wasn't racist. The cadet isn't being racist. The issue surrounding Spock's half-heritage has been a thing since the show started, and it was designed to show the nuances in the character and in the cultures that were being represented as well. What we are seeing is a clash between a fictional culture built on extreme logic and modern fandom interpreting everything through real-world identity politics. The Vulcans' view of Spock is nuanced. Their culture is also nuanced, and Trek has always tried to show that nuance, but especially when we struggle to see it, because they struggle even more with it. I believe that if we want to understand Star Trek, we have to let the alien cultures be alien, not just reflections of our fears. I mean, come on, it's science fiction, but it's science fiction dealing with races that have no root with human civilization, so why would everything be like us? And if we want to understand Spock, we have to accept that He just never fits in any box, just like all the races that basically have to deal with him. And that's why he's so legendary, both in-universe and out-universe. But these are my conclusions about the issues that the episode presented regarding Vulcans and Spock. This is Fictional Mindbender, and have a good day.